Hey everyone, today we're going to be reacting to The Last of Us Part 2, 7 things that have changed. Let's get right into this. I'm so excited to play this game when it comes out. Wow.
Hello and welcome to Access. My name's Nathan.
Look how beautiful
this
it
week
looks.
I was
Look at
lucky
the
enough
scope
to be
and
one of the
scale.
first people to
The
play The
snow,
Last of Us
that river
Part 2.
looks so realistic.
2 sections of the game were included in our
Just the
hands-on
little
session.
details
One from
look so
relatively
beautiful.
early in the story where
That's
Ellie
one
patrols
reason I
around the
love The
survivor
Last of Us.
settlement in
Just one
Jackson,
reason I love
and a
the first
section
game.
a little later on with Ellie on the outskirts of Seattle. The footage you'll see throughout this video is from those 2 sections.
Nice.
The story has been the focus of a lot of what we've seen about the game so far, but a huge amount of work has gone into the gameplay too.
Awesome.
This is both subtle and interconnected. Combat initially feels familiar, like an evolved form of the gameplay you know from the first game, but several key changes have moved it on considerably. Here's a look at some of those changes.
Oh snap! Little bottle throw and then stab, hammer. I like it. I dig it. Ellie going full
Number
full
1,
savage mode.
environments are bigger. The spaces I explored often comprised of several houses, shops or other buildings,
Interesting.
often with multiple floors, often completely optional in terms of progression, and often featuring hidden or hard to get to areas with
completely
deeper
optional.
story information
That's
or
cool.
resources. The effect is that the game feels a little more realistic, and the
good.
redesigned combat encounters have more space in which to play out.
Nice. Ooh. Right to the neck and to the... I like the
Number
recoil
2,
on the gun.
Ellie has a
The
few new
recoils on the
ways
gun
to
look-
explore
they're
and
realistic.
interact with these bigger environments. Naughty Dog has shaped the gameplay around her character, older and stronger than when we first met her, but still agile and relatively small. Ellie can squeeze through gaps in the environment, and she can also jump, a much commented on omission from the first game, which leads to various traversal options and an added verticality to
Nice.
combat. And Ellie can also go prone. This one probably has the most impact while you're actually playing. It
Okay.
means that you can find cover even in open areas with long grass, and that you can shuffle discreetly between 2 points of larger
snap.
cover. It's also a great example of how Naughty Dog approached development.
It looks
Co-game
so
director
beautiful.
Kurt Margano told me that for the studio, the bar is real life.
bar
So
is
putting
real
a prone
life.
system into the game meant
Wow.
an enormous amount of
That's
work,
so cool.
making sure the movement from running, jumping and standing to prone is fluid, making sure Ellie can do everything while prone that you really would do in life or death situations, like aiming while crawling and turning onto her back. So the first time an enemy approached me while I was lying on the ground, for instance, I panicked and went to my go-to Last of Us response. I threw a brick in their face and charged in for a melee kill.
Okay.
And it worked. There was no laborious shift from prone to standing, and the throw
Nice.
aiming on the ground was
Nice.
just the same as normal. It felt like Naughty Dog in a nutshell, an incredible attention to detail to make the smallest of elements best in category. It might just be lying down, but it's also the best lying down I've ever done in a video game.
The best line
Number
down
3,
I've ever done in a
enemies
video
are
game.
better at fighting you. This is partly because there are new types of enemy, as we'll
that
get
looks
onto
like
in
a
a moment,
clicker.
which challenge you in different
definitely
ways
looks like
and
a
force you to
clicker.
think about the best way to strategize using your
Nice.
scant
Little
resources.
stealth takedown.
But they
I
also
dig it.
seem much
I dig it.
sharper. Taking advantage of those bigger environments, I found myself getting flanked more than I can remember from The Last of Us,
Interesting.
backing into what I thought were safe rooms, only to get shotgunned from behind.
Take this clicker out. Little bottle throw and then distraction. Headshot. Nice. See ya.
Number 4, more impactfully, the enemies are also more humanized. While taking on the WLF, the Washington Liberation Force, on the outskirts of Seattle, enemy fighters would call out their friends' names as I killed them.
Oh snap.
Introducing our play session, Naughty Dog's Neil Druckmann explained that as a revenge story, The Last of Us Part 2 is about destructive cycles of violence.
Destructive silences
This tiny
of
touch is a way of
violence.
jolting players into
So it's a
reflecting on the
revenge story. I
significance of
wonder
their
what
actions.
she's trying to get revenge from.
Number 5, related to this, enemies now include dogs.
Oh,
Let's
snap,
leave
we
aside
get
the
dogs.
gameplay implications
We're
of this
getting
for a moment
dogs.
and first look at
And
the
I'm pretty
emotional
sure they
ones.
can see your
During
set
the Seattle
too.
section of
If
the
I'm not
game,
mistaken,
Ellie
they can
finds
see
a
your
bow.
set and
It's
track you
embedded
down,
in a clicker, and
which
she
is
has to
crazy
tear it out,
realistic.
and it's brilliantly
Which is
disgusting.
awesome. I
It
love
also gives her a way of one-shotting enemies from stealth during combat. Take out a dog, and its human handler will stop in horror and check that the dog is okay. And if you kill the human first, the dog is sad and confused as to why its human pal isn't moving
Interesting.
anymore. Number 6, Don't feel too sorry for the dogs though, as they are tricky as heck to fight. They're
Whoa.
small, so they too are hard to see in long grass. They can also smell you, so you can't
See?
creep
They
up
can
to stealth
smell you.
melee
That's
them.
crazy.
They disrupt your attempts to sneak around offing humans
Oh yeah,
too.
you can see your
You
scent.
leave
That
behind a
white
scent
line.
trail, which you can see in
When you
listen
go
mode.
into focus
And if
mode,
a
is
dog
your
is
scent.
present, you'll need to keep moving or distract them with thrown objects to avoid
Oh,
discovery.
snap.
It gives what otherwise might be slow and patient stealth sections an anxious urgency and forces you to keep moving.
Oh snap. Okay, so it's square to knock
Number
the
7,
dog
there
off.
are also new
Okay.
mutations of the clickers. The one I
Ew,
encountered is
those
called a
things are
shambler,
huge,
a big
man.
tank-like horror covered in thick growths that act like
Yikes.
armor.
Oh,
They're
little
tough
trip
to take
mine?
down, immune to
Nice.
stealth melee attacks, and when they get close, they emit a cloud of acidic fungal
Wow.
nastiness which hovers in place after they've
Okay.
moved on. In the same way dogs force you to keep moving and to keep improvising, shamblers force you to keep your
Shamblers,
distance.
okay,
They're
so they're
extra
called
nasty in
shamblers, that's the
enclosed
new enemy
spaces,
type.
and also to consider simply
Okay.
running away where possible. It is a totally valid tactic, Neil Druckmann told
Running
us.
away.
That's our list of 7 things.
awesome.
The Last of Us Part 2
That was
feels
great.
like a careful and sophisticated expansion of
Careful
the
and
urgent, impactful
sophisticated.
gameplay that defined the original game.
Beautiful.
And, no surprise, we're very excited to play
I'm very
more.
excited too. Let's go. And yeah, so that's The Last of Us Part 2. 7 things that have changed. That I like the new attention to detail. I like the scope and scale of areas. I like how areas are much bigger now. It's great that there's optional areas you can go to now when you loot, and with just a bunch of different things you can do inside the game. I hope the game is a bit more open world from the first one, where you can do side missions in Jackson and all that, but I don't think they're going to do side missions. I just have a feeling they're not going to do it. In the first game, we never really got side missions, but that's totally fine. Naughty Dog is the absolute best in the business when it comes to story-driven action-adventure games, and they are definitely my favorite studio out of every single studio out there. Naughty Dog, you are the absolute best, and thank you for making amazing games like The Last of Us, Uncharted, Jak and Daxter. They're all my favorite games of all time, and I'm just so happy they're making The Last of Us Part 2. I'm so excited to play this game and get my hands on it when it comes out. I'm so thrilled to play it. I hope we're able to play with Joel at some point in the story. Might not happen. Maybe it will happen. Maybe it won't. We're going to have to find out when we play the game. But either way, I'm just excited to play as Ellie and play through the story and see where it takes us. So yeah, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We're going to do a full playthrough when the game comes out on Hoka Nation. So make sure you are stay tuned with notifications on. Entire playthrough of The Last of Us Part 2. And also, we're going to do a Last of Us Part 2 Collector's Edition unboxing. So I didn't get the Ellie Edition. I didn't need the backpack or the vinyl. So I just went with the Collector's Edition. Gonna get the statue. Gonna get all the other things that come with it. So I'm very, very excited for the Collector's Edition. And yeah, I appreciate all the amazing support. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. And have a wonderful day.